Hello everyone, this is the 85th lecture of the Semantic SEO course. In this lecture, we will be creating the last content item brief for now. And in this content item brief, we will be focusing on the QR code generator topical map that we have created. At the beginning, we just check the topical map that we created from end to end to remember all the topical map nodes, because we will be giving all of them an order in the root of the semantic content network that we are creating. We will be actually creating first our columns one more time: contextual vector, hierarchy, structure, and the bridges. Then we will be creating our contextual vector in the form of the headings, and we will be using different types of heading vectors to actually reflect the context and the context distribution. In this specific content item brief design, I will be marking some specific type of predicates as bold. If you didn't read the predicates and the context connection from our case studies, I will suggest you to check that. At the beginning, we directly actually use the free online QR code generator and the creator phrase sequence in our macro context. Then we directly go for the how to generate question, because first of all, to be able to understand this content item brief, you will need to understand the semantics inside the web page layout, which usually comes from the denotational and annotational semantics. Basically, based on the web page components, order layout or sizes, let's say the receiver change the meaning of the specific sections. Imagine that all the words come together and they change the context and the meaning. In a similar way, all the web page components, they come together and they change the meaning. There are even data sets to understand what type of web page layout convey what type of actual usability or the meaning. In this case, since this is a tool, basically, we will need to be explaining how this tool can be used for what purpose. And we explain the how to questions, or let's say their answers, for responsiveness and relevance. But at the same time, if this web page has really, let's say, big amount of or long amount of scroll depth, it's not something that much positive. That's why we will need to actually be using an interactive tab structure so that we can actually have a more dense, let's say, more dense and usable tool. At the same time, we can keep everything closer to the above the fold area, and we can reflect and distribute the context in a better way. So you will need to play with the design together with the content item briefs. Basically, not everything is about how we put the headings. It's also about how we structure or even colorize, or what kinds of a typography we are using on the web page. So you will need to imagine or feel or sense these things as the search engine does, and in the future we will see these things better. So if you continue to check our content item brief, you will realize that we are ordering everything and stacking the most similar things to each other. One more time, we are using italic font styling for actually reflecting the certain types of subsections or the contextual domains and the subdomains inside the main macro context. And we continue to construct our main content in this area, and most of it actually focuses on the specific how to question. Then we put a contextual border, and we will be going to the further and different types of questions, and it starts with actually what are the QR code file types in the QR code generator. Basically, whenever we actually generate a QR code, there will be a generated QR code with a specific type of file type, which means that it is the end of the generation process. That's why it is actually the border, and at the same time, all the download buttons on all the web pages, they will be having a certain type of download function for one of these file types. That's why we start from there, and inside the topical map, all the sections that we created here, whether generating QR code for social media platforms, SMS, phone, or the contact, or events, or Wi-Fi's, or museums, cryptocurrencies, or commercial uses, marketing, brochures, flyers, business cards, or URLs, or multi-links, all of them are already processed, let's say, included in the topical map in the raw version, which means that we will need to be actually deciding which one of these things will be having an anchor text and which ones don't. And it requires to actually check the query networks even further. Most of them, and if you look at some of these sections, for instance, when it comes to the cryptocurrency, it can be united with the Bitcoin directly. That's why actually we see the article methodology section inside that area as a hint. And some others, they might be united, or they might be just a subsection of a specific content item brief. And according to that, sometimes the order of these things or the hierarchy might need to be refined further. But over 99% of the time, that specific topical map will nearly, let's say, it can go longer, but it won't be shorter than as is. So we continue to compare the file types to each other. We include SVG, PNG, PDF, and APS based on one more time, the usability and also some certain types of common features. Then we go to the actual scan context, and scanning has been connected to testing. Testing has been connected to design. Once we have the design, we go to the actual certain types of styles of the QR codes, like classic QR codes or rounded QR codes, or the smooth QR codes. And we are also bolding all these predicates so that we can realize it, like generation, generated, creation, create, and make, or adjust, add, branding, or let's say branded, and etc. All these things actually will be signaling a kind of contextual transition between the different subsections. From here, we also go for the, let's say, how to choose the QR code background color to generate a quick response code. Even in every heading, basically, when it comes to design, we always target a specific type of direct or derived attribute of the QR code. For instance, scan limit of the QR code, or when it comes to the also scan limit, we will need to also explain how we can determine the QR code scan limit while using this specific tool. Most of these sections will be filled in the article methodology and the contextual structure even further. When we ask the definition of the QR code, it is clearly a new section, and it will be having its own subsections in the context of using actually the tool to generate the QR code. Dynamic and the static QR codes are mentioned there directly, and we are putting to the barcode, which is the most author section of the topical map, and that's why it is at the bottom. And when we process the barcode, it will be linking actually from a higher point, because our source context will be always closer to the codes rather than the barcodes. And we distribute our contextual hierarchy. You can realize that how the subsections are, let's say, processed, how the hierarchy has been constructed for weighting different contextual zones inside the content brief. And when you look at the predicates that we have chosen, not all of them actually directly appear in the query networks as well, but they're always targeting a specific type of attribute, and that attribute appears in the queries. So sometimes you will need to actually complete the possible word sequences that appear inside the queries by adding further things. In our general summary section, even if I don't use the queries here, easily free QR code generator, create a QR code, generate quick response code. All these specific phrases, it means that will need to be actually used inside our introductory section. And of course, general summary section will be connected to also the end or the last heading as well. We start with the definition. We use the verb make, which is the middle ground between generate and create. We create a connection to the both of them. That's why we use make there. Include the verb design together with the make. Explain the 5 main use purposes of the QR code. Give main 4 benefits of QR code. Include conversion rate optimization in them as well, because it is also inside our author section of topical map, and the definition of the QR code with the semantic web as well, which is also inside our author section of topical map as well. We include algorithms, CII characters or pixels, because they are also subparts of the QR codes, like options for customization, main file types for them, and also at the end we define the specific tool, which means that we focus on every possible contextual interpretation of the specific query. We'll leave the tool to the end because the rest of the section will be heavily let's say, processed with that, and the tool will be already inside above the fold area. That's why it will be having enough level of relevance. But for other sections, all of them also will be processed in the context of tool, which is the purpose, generating a QR code. When it comes to the specific how-to questions, we basically give an instructive paragraph with the key points, which means that every sentence will be starting with a verb in the instructive form, and every sentence will be unique, which means that we won't be repeating the same sentence in other how-to question sections. And we will be defining the last noun in the question, which reflects our purpose while generating the QR code, and we will be connecting it back to the, of course, always the QR code context, duration of the QR code generation, or kinds of designs, file types. All of them also will need to be processed. For the A18, we also directly use the, not 18 actually, let me just check. for the, let's say, the in a way, we tell that payments, QR codes, they should be used together in the context of the cryptocurrency so that we can distribute and connect the, let's say, context in a better way, and it should be actually A19. When it comes to the question of what are the QR code file types in the QR code generator and also creator, we use a list definition listing with the heat words. Every list item will need to be including actually the file type, why it's better for sharing or protecting or safety or QR code uses basically. And in the list outro we use actually scanning context because in the future we will be directly using the scanning as well. And this is our actually grouper question, or let's say root question for the supplementary content with a border. That's why it is important to actually process it in the context of generation as much as possible while signaling the future sections as well. When we come to the actual scanning area, or how to scan a QR code after generation basically, and by the way, using words after, during, or for, or two types of functional words around the word generation together with the QR code is important too. Again, we start with a definition, we give method steps and procedure for that, and we give an example, and also parts of the scanner has been used there because we need to also use the word scanner there, connected way to the scan, and parts of scanner means actually what kinds of parts that tool has. Then we also go for the test section, which is another context area, and we focus on the fraud. You remember it from the topical map, user statistics, and one more time we go back to the actually validation process and the steps. You should also understand the scanner part because scanner is a tool. We are also a tool too. There is a connection there in terms of types. Instructive paragraphs also have been used in the design context too, but this time we actually focus on the design components and customization. Inside the customization, actually, we focus on the classic style, rounded or thin or smooth or circle QR codes. These things appear inside the queries and the query networks. And sometimes, even if it doesn't they are not included inside the documents, sometimes they might be included inside the web documents. And if these documents have page ranking or positive historical data, search engine will try to see them at some certain level. That's why being able to classify it together with all these documents in a more comprehensive way, it's always useful because you will be able to tell the search engine that if you rank us, you will be already ranking others too. So you don't have to worry about the subtracted web documents from the index. We go for the logo or adding a logo context as well for the QR codes, and we connect it also to the branding because it's signaling the branding section as well. We use actual author margin, and we ask a preceding question for the last paragraph as well because we didn't add it as a sub-heading there because it's not a heavy attribute. What is still useful to give further information there for creating information gap. And what are the roles of pixels during the QR code generation? It's an opportunity for defining the pixel one more time. You should remember it was also inside the introductory part. Role of a pixel, how does a pixel count actually affect the QR code scanning generation or size? What's the optimum pixel range or the QR code from security, speed generation or scanning and design point of view? You should understand that all these things are coming naturally. I don't use any tool while writing these things. I just check the SERP. Then from there, I actually make these things up based on certain types of rules and principles. And that's why at the beginning of the course, I say that we are upgrading our mindset because semantics, it requires a certain type of, to be honest, natural talent. We all have it, but some people might have it better. But it doesn't mean that these reflexes can't be earned. After certain type of, let's say, or certain amount of exercises, your brain will be creating these thought streams and reflexes, and it will be happening. That's why you will need to continue to watch and do these things. After a point, your brain will be starting to sense the search engine. At the same time too, you will be increasing your confidence. It doesn't have to be happening like suddenly or in the first time, but eventually you will start to feel these things. At the supplementary content, and most of the section has many bridges there, you will realize that actually we put directly consistent things with our contextual bridges, and we distribute actually our definitions and classification methodologies one more time for the QR codes. And one more time, when it comes to the definition of the QR code, types are coming just after that. If you remember the types of the attributes, you will get this idea better because types is always a root attribute. That's why it's important to process it, and it always creates opportunities to connect things further to the other sections as well. And at the end, we focus on to the barcode one more time. So we are coming to the end of this specific content item brief 2. We continue to actually distribute our anchor texts according to the certain types of topical map nodes. And one more time, according to your source context, you can make it more detailed or less detailed from time to time as well. And QR code scanner, QR code validation, they're also being added to. And based on, let's say, in the anchor text area too, I have directly written that it requires to understand the index construction criteria of the search engines. Not all of them require a new web page. Only a few of them require a new web page as well. Index creation means that when a search engine decides to create a new index, it requires to understand actually many things there. But one more time, it is about cost of retrieval, the root of entire journey. So in the next one, you will see an outro video, and we will be inviting you to a private community. Please join there. And at the same time, we will be continuing to support the private community by helping people individually, answering questions, and we will be arranging coaching sessions, people as one-on-one, and at the same time, group coaching sessions will be happening too. And the purpose here is actually supporting you. And as your homework, you can actually continue to create your source context for this specific topical map, and you can decide which pages should be opened and which ones shouldn't be opened. And if you want, you can even change the order of anchor text, and based on it, you can even change the order of the, let's say, headings, which will be changing the contextual vector, which will be affecting actually introductory part, which will be affecting even this supplementary content and the last headings as well. Everything is connected to each other. Nothing is random. So watch the outro video. Thanks for coming to this level. It means a lot. Let's go.